Welcome to FiST Chat, your source for news and discussions in film science and technology, hosted by Steve Kern and Ben Warner. Visit our website at fistchat.com. Hello everyone and welcome to FiST Chat, the vodcast where we discuss all things related to film science and technology and have a lot of fun doing so. My name's Ben Warner and I'm joined once again by my good friend and colleague Steve Kern. How are we today, Steve?
I'm good, thanks, Ben. Hello, FiST Chat fans. It's great to be here, and I think we've got a few very interesting topics today.
Absolutely, and we're going to do 2 episodes today. It's nice and cold outside, so couldn't think of anything better than to stay indoors and record some FiST Chat. We've got a bit, in this first episode, we've got a couple of different topics, so a bit of a mix and match, a bit different than what we normally do. But we're going to start off with this story that you found, Steve, on Discovery News. Brain chip allows quadriplegic man to move his hand, which was quite amazing. Ian Burkhardt, a 23-year-old, became paralyzed after a diving accident 4 years ago, and he was the first patient to try out NeuroBridge, which reroutes brain signals. The system combines a computer chip implanted in the brain, a brain-computer interface, and a sleeve that transmits electrical signals to the patient's forearm and hand. That's really quite amazing stuff there. If they were able to pull that off, you can just imagine what would be available in the next 10, 20 years if they keep going with it.
Well, that's right. And this has been something that, we often talk about, when will these medical advances happen? And 30 years ago, when Christopher Reeve, unfortunately, was paralyzed in an accident, he started a foundation. He initiated a lot of research into this. And this is an extension of that research. It's taken 30 years, but now potentially we can help people with severe spinal injuries. This is amazing. And it's also shows our understanding of, I think, how we can interface cybernetically between computers and between, our own brain. So there's been a bit of discussion lately around my blogs with cybernetic implants and where we're going with this. And people typically say, no, I'd never have one.
Yeah.
But if this is helping people, then once we actually get around that, then it's possible that, you actually get other benefits from them.
Is this something, in popular culture, it just hasn't been exploited that much. It's always the negative, the Skynet Matrix type scenario with the implants and whatever. But actually, there isn't a lot on the positive side that's been portrayed. And maybe that's what's feeding into the hysteria a bit.
Absolutely. And now on the Skynet side of things and the government controlling you, if you think that way, well, the truth is they can already do that today because you're probably carrying around a mobile phone. You're probably, so it doesn't matter whether you've got a chip inside you or whether you're carrying a chip in your pocket. The effects are the same. And I think you're right. Nobody's actually talked up the benefits of what this technology can be used for. And, once again, we were talking about longevity last week. These are the sorts of technologies that can help us overcome a lot of the age-related diseases down the track. So I'd say this is pretty positive. And the other thing is, I think that it does is that it links humans to controlling machines rather than having autonomous machines that might want to be doing their own thing, which is another thing people are scared of.
Yeah. Well, just on that thing about the carrying the chip around in your pocket in your smartphone, it's been actually before smartphones, even regular mobiles beforehand were trackable. So don't think that that's a new idea. So speaking of which, we'll segue now into the new smartphone on the market from Amazon, the Fire Phone, which I found somewhat perplexing, and it seems like a lot of the media reviewing this device did. Not surprising, they want to probably have their own thing, to compete with Apple and Google and all of their stuff. But first of all, the pricing left a lot to be desired from what I could see. It's not a cheap phone, not like how the Kindle tablets are cheaper tablets than, say, like the iPad or some of the other Samsung tablets. The other thing is Amazon's primarily known for its online content, so its ecosystem, and particularly music, movies, TV, books. Well, books, of course, is the most the most important one, the biggest one, which is, I don't know if a phone would be the primary device that you would use to access that type of content. So that's why I found this phone a bit perplexing when they released it, because I just thought I can the tablet makes perfect sense to me because it interfaces really well with their content, but I can't see what the phone is there for other than to be another sort of attempt to try and drive some customers their way away from some of the other players.
Yeah, I did the same thing as you because I've not seen one. I've not had a chance to use one. So I thought I'd do a bit of research to understand.
Yeah.
Because, as usual, I heard of all the great features and how amazing this was and a game changer. But I couldn't make any sense of the reviews either.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, what is this? Is it a functional device, or is it really just an e-book reader? An e-reader with a phone function. I know it links you to the Amazon store. What am I meant to use it for?
Yeah, but I mean, you're not gonna
sure.
and you're not gonna read books off of this thing. I mean, you might if you have like 5 minutes and you're in a queue somewhere and you want to pick up, reading the book that you were reading on the couch with your Kindle. You'll be able to do it on your phone for a couple of minutes, but you're not going to be there for hours doing it. And that's why I find it just doesn't seem to be as natural a device for their type of content. The other thing too is, this was picked up in a couple of the articles, Wired.com had a good one where they're basically saying, the biggest challenge of modern UI design, when they were referring to the Amazon Fire phone, is knowing when to stop. We have the ability to make every single moment sparkle and dance. So the new task is learning to restrain ourselves, and it's hard. Most of a good user experience is forgotten because well-designed often means forgettable, which is totally right. You can't remember 100 delightful interactions a day, and nor would you want to. They've got, I don't know what, they had some option called Firefly, I think it was, dynamic perspective. Yeah, that's all good, but obviously designed at a keynote to get people to start clapping and cheering and doing the whole Apple thing. But maybe it's just we've got to the point where it does everything we need to do, and you don't have to keep wowing us with the latest thing.
Well, if you look at what Apple did and Samsung have done with their last couple of product or phone launches, they've actually played them down, especially Samsung.
Yeah.
So they went from their, I don't know, eyeline tracking devices and those sorts of things to just saying it for the Samsung Galaxy 5, it's just got better battery life and a bigger screen. So, the reality is you can jam as many features as you like on a phone or a tablet or an e-reader, whatever it is, but
you don't necessarily need it.
Them, then you're never going to use them. And I think that, that's probably... unfortunately, Amazon's just maybe jumped the shark with the number of features they've put on there.
Oh, well, I mean, the other thing too is the Kindle Fire tablets in particular. I don't think specifically on their own they're designed to generate huge amounts of profit for Amazon. They're just meant to drive more content to be bought off their store. So, and again, that's why I found the phone again quite perplexing because the only thing I can imagine is that they're trying to just fill a gap. If these Amazon customers are already using the Kindle tablets, they're heavily invested in the ecosystem, then this is just one more device that they can use. But the thing is, they can access it on other devices, so what's the point? Anyway, we might move on from there. Now, Google I/O happened just recently, and Tech Radar actually had a good article that covered 5 of the interesting what they consider the top 5 interesting items, and thought we might refer to it because we can't really go through everything that was announced at Google I/O because there was quite a lot. Now it seems like Android is going away from its sugary snack type names to just the letter L for its new version of its operating system. It has obviously the performance and design optimizations and whatnot, and you know. Uh, a lot of talk was made at the Apple keynote, for example, that they're not getting users to upgrade to the latest versions and whatever. Would it be that this rebranding they're trying to do something along those lines to try and spur people to get to the latest one, or is it just that? I'm just wondering if the Android market isn't as like the Apple market, as keen to just keeping up with the technology. They just bought it, it works, and they can't be bothered doing anything else with it.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting question. I think if you
Oh,
look
that I'll just qualify that by saying, of course, that there are enthusiasts that run Android that would do all of that. But I'm just saying, there's also a lot of, well, I'd say the vast majority of Android users probably wouldn't.
No, but I think there's probably something in it from the marketing perspective that, Android is Android.
Yeah,
Someone who doesn't use Android, if you tell me you're using an Android OS, I wouldn't ask which version or anything.
yeah,
And yet, if you told me you're using iOS, I'd ask which version.
yeah.
And because you can tell me, anyone can tell me, oh, it's 10.8 or 10.7 or
Whatever the number is. Yeah.
What am I going to say? Raspberry sandwich, ice cream delicious. And what's the difference between ice cream delicious and raspberry sandwich? So I think that's probably maybe just a very simple tactic. They'll go L1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
and just call it Android. Maybe that'll just make it simpler.
That's right. That's right.
And wearable technology was also there as well. Google's smartwatch platform made its on-stage debut with the company calling it a new phase in miniaturization of technology. The LG Watch and newly announced Samsung Gear Live are now available to order in the US. And for everyone else, the Moto 360 release date is stalled with a vague summer launch. Google Glass field audience didn't much care for that. Well, I mean, the smartwatch is supposedly the latest, thing to come out. I don't think it's going to generate the kind of hysteria that I think the media wants it to.
Yeah, I don't think that smartwatches are actually going to go anywhere. I've got one, but it works fine on its own. It doesn't require any other devices, and it's a great watch because of that. I would actually prefer to see wearable actually being wearable. Google's doing glass. You can't get more wearable than that. How about you make me a decent jacket with, that I can plug into an augmented reality headset or something like that and sit on the sofa with it rather than sitting it on my lap. Come on, guys. Let's really get with the program.
Yeah, exactly. Now, and they also announced Android Auto, which is Google's rival to Apple's CarPlay. Yeah. Just on that, and they're not. They won't be the only ones doing it, but this idea of software that can be utilized on their devices that would interface with a car. And then you can obviously control the car in different ways. And you can imagine this is going to become more sophisticated as time goes on. But I would think that the only way that this type of technology and software would work is if the car companies basically installed a dumb terminal in their car and then allowed the external third-party device to do the work. If they don't do that, if they try and build in so many features into the car already, it's not going to work because cars don't get updated.
That's right. This is really interesting because I think this is not that much different to the smart television sort of scenario where the TV makers have tried to build in all their smart TV technology, and then along comes something like Google Chromecast, just bypasses it and does a better job.
Yeah,
I would think that if you're a car maker, and certainly Google seem to be very interested in this car device interface, you'll find that almost certainly they'll come up with something like Chromecast for a car. You'll plug it in your car's USB slot, and Google will be driving your car through it from the Google Cloud.
Not doing evil, like we hope, anyway. And the fourth one here, Android TV. They did a bit more with that. It used to be Google TV, rebranded. Now you're talking about the Chromecast, but this sounds like it's a little bit more than that. And again, yeah, I mean, there's more. I mean, each of the big players have got something in the works for this, just like how you were saying, for the TV. And it almost begs the question why these TV makers would even bother putting this software, their own software, on these TVs, because they're all universally derided as being rubbish. So
yeah. And I think, look at Google's greatest strategy. You know, they've got the Google Loon program as well.
Yeah.
They want to create their own network, you know. And I think that you'll find that Google will move into content before you know it. They won't just be the search and retrieve function. They'll be providing it as well. And I think that, you know, if you really look at the way Google works, they're very thorough, very methodical. They lay a nice, good foundation. And, you know, they don't seem to be particularly interested in pursuing it, but if they ever want to come back to it, they will.
Yeah, absolutely. And finally, and this is one for you, Steve, the Chromecast, the mirroring function finally matches AirPlay. So once you pick up your Chromecast, at some point you'll be able to plug it into your TV and use your devices with it, and and be able to mirror everything on the TV. So happy days.
Exactly, and I won't need to mess around with that dud interface that comes with my so-called intelligent TV, because it ain't.
Exactly. All right, we might wrap it up there. Steve, we've run out of time, so thanks again for the chat.
Anytime. Why not tweet us, FiST Chat fans, if you've got any sort of tech suggestions of where Google should be headed.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so don't forget our website, fistchat.com. You can get all of our links there. You can subscribe to our audio, video, and social media pages. It's all there, and we just did a bit of a revamp of the website too, so hopefully you like it. We've gone from a black interface to a white interface now. You can also check out our blogs that we write weekly. We've got photography on Instagram and Flickr. And don't forget, if you think anyone's interested in our weekly discussions on film science and technology, then feel free to send them to our website. We'd greatly appreciate that. So that's it for this episode. So we'll catch you next time.